Okay, so we are going to be reading scary stories. People seem to be liking these. I love reading scary stories. So we're going to do this. This is going to be fun. So I'm just going to look up same website I always use, Scary for Kids. We'll read scary stories. This should be fun. Yeah, this is still too small. Still haven't changed it. Not a big deal. I will get to that eventually. So now I just have to find a scary story that I haven't read before, which is actually going to be a lot harder than I thought. I've read most of these because I did the whole reading scary stories all through October, except the couple covers I did that were Halloween themed. Other than that, I read scary stories. So I read most of these. I don't know if there's any new ones. There might. There's Halloween. We read all the Christmas ones yesterday. So there's no more Christmas ones that are scary, other than the funny ones. But I read through them and I didn't find them funny. But, they have ghost stories. They have urban legends, scary riddles, creepy stories. I bet those are the ones that just leave you with that unsettling feeling. There's short stories. I read some of those. True scary stories. Scary legends. American urban legends. Urban myths. Funny scary stories. Children's scary stories. Ghost scary stories. Creepypastas. Scary tales. We'll go with that one. We'll go with scary tales. And the page refreshed. That's one thing I hate most about this freaking thing. When you click on something, it reloads the entire dang page. So now I am getting annoyed already, and this just started. Sad scary stories. I've read sad scary stories. Short stories, chain letters, true scary stories, scary legends. If you could go to the next page. Not reading scary legends. Myths, campfire stories, children's scary stories. I can hear Ken laughing downstairs. She was lyric pranking people in Avakin. And for anyone who doesn't know, Avakin is a game where you play with a bunch of, they're real people, but you play with your avatars, and it's a team game. I don't know how to explain that. Apparently I can't talk. Oh, scary tales there. That took long enough. We have these scary tales are basically just like the origins of Disney movies. So we have Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, we got Rapunzel, we got Princess and the Frog, Alice in Wonderland, and then a couple other ones. They have Hansel and Gretel, Rumpelstiltskin, the Goose Girl. I don't know that one. Freyo Hole. Don't know if that's even how it's pronounced.
Are you live streaming?
Just talk. I know you were lyric pranking.
Okay, so I lyric prank this dude. His name is Dr. John Wickerman 2, okay, on African.
Click 1, whatever. Then we'll read that one after she's done.
Okay,
go.
So I start with, the first line. I still remember. And he goes, who? 3rd of December. He goes, what?
Oh my god.
Like, me in your sweater. And he replies, you in my sweater.
Told you backed up to told you time to home. Backed up we buy. Do we
I'm not even talking on there. What the hell? And then I go, you said it looked better on me than it did you. He said KMT, which I don't know what that stands for.
What?
I don't know what KMT stands for.
I don't know.
Well, anyways, then he said dream on.
I'm gonna look.
She's
that
dancing
up.
in my face, rude person. And then I said, only if you knew how much I liked you.
That's Heather by Conan Gray for anyone who doesn't
Didn't
know.
I say that right?
That way means
TKM.
KMT.
higher mother tongue.
And then he's like, I can't stop you. And then I said, but I watch her eyes as she walks by. What a sight for sore eyes, brighter than a blue sky. And he said, thank you, ma'am. And then I said, she's got you memorized while I die.
What the hell?
I will soon talk with you. And then I'm all like, oh my gosh, I'm dying.
You're like, dude, this is a lyric prank.
Hold on, I get to that at the end. And
Don't
then I
touch
was
my
like,
light.
why would you ever kiss me? I'm not even half as pretty. He goes, as
No.
whom? And I said, you gave her your sweater. It's just polyester. And I thought he'd catch on, but he didn't.
Oh,
He goes, I'm confused. I gave no one anything. And so then I say, but you like her better. Wish I were Heather. And then he wouldn't reply to me. So I was like, hello? And he's all like, what? And I was all like, this is a lyric prank. Sorry. And now he's telling me to come over by him, and I'm not doing that.
Hey, KMT, is that what you said?
Yeah.
It's kiss my teeth.
The hell? Well, anyways, that was my experience
Take
with
her.
lyric pranking.
Have fun.
No, I can plug this
I
in.
love lyric pranking people. I find it
can't.
hilarious.
You should have lived. My anxiety was all like through the roof. I was freaking out.
But like, that's funny, and he's so stupid.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my word. I should probably get to reading stories. I've been here 6 minutes and haven't read anything. Wait, you were supposed to take her with you.
Him.
Wait, you're
No,
supposed to
he
take her
doesn't
with you.
like him.
Click on his profile picture, block him.
You sent me a friend request.
Wait, Ken, you're supposed to make her watch her show. You want to listen to Hansel and Gretel? It's not your story, you know. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Everyone knows about the fairy tale Hansel and Gretel, but they may not be aware that its original was based on a scary or French story. You say hi, YouTube?
I do food. I do.
Close enough. Close enough. You can sit in my lap.
I.
My shirt. I'm
Sarah.
happy. And this is Nessa.
Oh, Bobby. Asha.
You're Nessa.
Oh, Bobby. And there's the double ball.
That's her booba, aka a binky.
A pity.
Okay, so the scary or French story from 1887 called The Lost Children or Les Enfants Égarés. Oh my word, I don't even know if it's a rolling R. But basically The Lost Children. In popular versions of the tale, Hansel and Gretel are two disobedient children who wander off, accidentally get lost in the woods. They find a gingerbread house, which they proceed to eat. The wicked witch who owns it traps them, plans to eat them, and the children manage to push her into a fire and escape. In the original, the two are good children. I know this story. Whose parents are mean and stingy. So they lead their children into the woods because there's not enough food to feed the four of them. Terrified that they'd be eaten by wolf, Hansel and Gretel spot a house in the distance. When they knock on the door, the old woman who lives takes them in, but warns that her husband is a cannibal, and if he finds them, he will eat them. When her husband comes home, the children immediately he finds the children and immediately starts to beat up his wife. That is sick. I was making sure I was reading that sentence right. And it was. Okay, so I don't know that version, that part of the story. Do you want me to move? Here you go. Oh, Chabuba. I'm gonna finish reading it while she goes. Anyway. He makes Hansel his slave, Gretel his slave, and locks Hansel up in the pigsty, telling the boy he is going to fatten him up before he devours him. After a few days, the man tells Gretel to cut off her brother's finger. and bring it to him so he can test if the boy's fat enough yet. She tries to trick him by cutting off a rat's finger and give it to him instead, but the man does double check when he discovers that the boy isn't fat enough. He beats up Gretel for lying to him. This is a lot sicker than the one I knew. I knew about the one where the parents just leave him in the woods. But the other half of the story is it's just the old woman and she ends up getting pushed into the fire anyway. The man sets up a sawhorse. What is a sawhorse? These videos make me look dumb. Because I don't know what some things are, but when I look them up, I'm all like, oh yeah, I remember this. I think I know what it is. It is a frame that supports wood for sawing. See, that's what I thought it was. It has two little triangle pieces on the side. Okay, I'm going to leave that tab open in case I need to look something else up. Because he was planning to kill Hansel and let him bleed out. He tells his wife to keep an eye on the children while he's gone. The old woman gets drunk and the children trick her into lying on the sawhorse. They tie her down and they kill her. After that, they steal her money and take off on her horse. When the husband returns, sees the wife is dead. He takes off in pursuit of the children. He eventually catches up to them, but they trick him and he falls off a bridge and drowns. Hansel and Gretel get home with their ill-gotten gains and forgive their parents for leaving them to die in the forest. 1, you don't steal anything. 2, why would you marry a cannibal? Just answer me that. 2, you find a house in the woods and a creepy old woman lives there. Be like, oh, I bit my lip. No, you should be like, oh, hell no, I'm not going in. Have them point you off into the right direction where you want to go. There could have been anywhere. She could have pointed them into a direction with other people. Especially if her husband is a cannibal and she knows it. I hate stories about cannibals. I think I've mentioned that a lot of times. I've heard a lot of stories that have cannibals in it. I can't stand them. I don't know why I read them. Oh, I know a lot of these are dark, but considering I didn't know Hansel and Gretel got that dark, I think I know more about Cinderella than anything else on this list, so we'll go with Cinderella. Oh, I should have mentioned this before. If we're reading these, they're going to ruin your childhoods. Okay, so everyone knows about the famous story / fairy tale of Cinderella, aka Disney. But you may not be aware the original is much darker and more grotesque. It is a German folklore called Aschenputtel. It has the German word up there. I can't pronounce it. I'm not even going to try. So yeah. So in popular versions of this tale, Cinderella is with her wicked stepmother and 2 ugly stepsisters. They treat her like a slave. She's forced to wear rags. Cinderella has a favorite godmother who creates a dress, a coach, and footmen for her out of pumpkins, mice. What else? That's it, right? The carriage is made out of pumpkins. The footmen are mice. Or the horses are mice. They don't tell you that part here. Anyway, we just watched Cinderella last night because it's Steffi's favorite movie. And I can't even remember that one part. Anyway, she goes to the ball. Prince falls in love, As all fairy tales do. The girl falls in love with the boy. After midnight, she runs away, leaving her glass slipper behind. Here's my question about that. If everything disappears, why don't the slippers? The slippers made for her out of magic, and if all the magic ran out at midnight, which caused the carriage and the horses to go away and the footmen, why didn't the slippers leave? That should have been nearly impossible. But anyway, leaves her shoe behind. The prince travels around the country looking for the girl who the shoe fits, which Cinderella has small feet. A lot of women have small feet. So testing them by their shoe size, that was stupid on his part. He would never have actually found Cinderella. He would have had a bunch of women that the shoe fit. And he marries her and they live happily ever after. In the original fairy tale, there is no fairy godmother, no pumpkin coach, just pigeons who help Cinderella. The prince lays a sticky tar trap for her, which is how she loses her shoe. Oh. When the prince comes, the sisters cut off parts of their feet, their toes and heels, so their foot fits into the slipper. In a desperate attempt to get on the slipper, like I just said. Is this the start of the story? Oh no, this is part towards the end of the story. It says, with her mother standing by, the older one took the shoe into her bedroom to try it on. When she couldn't get her big toe in because it was too small, the mother gave her a knife and said, cut off your toe, because when you're queen, you will no longer have to go on foot. The girl cuts off her toe and forces her foot into the shoe. She swallows the pain and went out to the prince. The prince takes one look at her bloody, mutilated feet and decides neither of the girls is who he is looking for. Eventually, he manages to track down Cinderella, who is locked upstairs. Her foot fits into the slipper, and he marries her. At the wedding, the two pigeons attack the stepsisters and peck out their eyeballs. And the line says, when the bridal couple walks into the church, the older sister walked on her right side and the younger on her left, and the pigeons pecked out their eyes for each of the one eye from each of them as they came out of the church. The older sister was on the left side, the younger one on the right side, and the pigeon, and thus, for their wickedness and falsehood, they were punished with blindness as long as they live. Yeah. So, I seriously bit my lip and that really hurt. That's all that they have for that one. That one is a pretty dark story. There's no fairy godmother. And the tar trap they're talking about, he lays it down so her shoe gets stuck in hopes of keeping her at the ball. But in reality, just takes the shoe. She runs off. And she gets locked upstairs. And then she ends up coming down. Prince is all like, yeah, she needs to try the shoe on. She tries the shoe on and magically it fits. I'm 100%. I don't know if the shoe breaks in the original. I don't think it does. Because I think it's in Cinderella. Someone breaks the shoe. And then Cinderella's all like, I have the other one. And yeah, I think it's in the actual movie. The stepmother breaks the shoe and Cinderella's all like, well, I have the other one, and the prince and his side guy, I don't know what he is. I want to call him a duke, but that's not right. And he's standing there, he's all like, that has to be the girl. She has the matching shoe. And he's all like, well, anyways, let's try it on. If she had the other shoe that matched perfectly with your shoe, she's obviously the one. This is the one story I just don't I don't understand. You're not supposed to understand stories. Most stories. Let's do Rumpelstiltskin. I mean, how is this one not dark? Basically, she's all like, do this for me and I'll give you whatever in return. And she offers up her firstborn. Don't offer your children Okay. Still, quite a dark story if you think about it. She's willing to give up her child for this little man to help her. Still quite dark. Okay, Rumpelstiltskin is a scary fairy tale and is based on an old German folklore called Rumpelstiltskin. Is that how you pronounce it? There's a Z. I don't know if that's it's German anyway. Which was collected by the Brothers Grimm. Yeah, we're going to skip over the history of that one. Yeah, if I mention that, YouTube will have it teared. Let's just say it has a note of death. We'll go with that. Okay, so the story begins about a man who boasts that his daughter can spin straw into gold. He's a heckin' liar. When the king hears this, he locks the girl in his tower, gives her a wheel and some straw to spin. If she doesn't do it by morning, he's going to kill her. So that father is an idiot. The girl gives up all hope, starts crying, and then all of a sudden, a man appears and promises her to help her in return for her jewelry. She's a nice girl. She has a bunch of nice things. Yeah. He wants something from her if he's going to help her. She says, yeah. Sure, gives him jewelry. He helps her. Comes back on the third day. The girl has no jewelry left. I still have hiccups. I don't know why I have hiccups. Okay. Anyway, the girl doesn't have any jewelry left. So he goes, give me your firstborn. I would have been like, no. Even if I was faced with the option of death. Yeah, no, I wouldn't give you my firstborn. That's no. No. And she's all like, yeah, the king's impressed by the girl's ability to spin straw into gold, so he marries her. But when their first child is born, the man comes back to collect his payment. And then now the girl doesn't want to give up the child. And she's all like, no, the child's mine. And he says if she's able to guess his name at the end of 3 days, she can keep the kid. If he doesn't, he's taking the kid. The girl eventually manages to figure out that his name is Rumpelstiltskin. And when she guesses correctly, he flies into a fit of rage and tears off his own body in half. I think she has someone go out and spy on him. And he apparently says his name. Which, yeah. The version of the story I know is he has such a fit of rage, he stomps in the ground and basically the ground opens up beneath him, setting him into basically hell. So, yeah. Both of which is dark. I think the father is just really stupid for being like, my daughter can spin straw into gold. Mainly, I think he just wanted her to be queen. And the prince ends up finding out that she can't do that and he's all okay with it. Not like, you freaking lied to me. Which I would have been, if someone came to me and was all like, I can do this, and then they're all like, oh yeah, by the way, I didn't do that with someone else. I'd be like, you lied to me. Oh, we have Sleeping Beauty. Anyone who doesn't know the original story, Sleeping Beauty, it's not kid-friendly. So, basically everyone knows the story of Sleeping Beauty, Disney version. But do you really know the creepy real story behind the fairy tale? It is an old Italian folklore recorded by Gambetta Basil. Almost spell the name because I just totally ruined it. It's Giambattista space Basile, and it's called The Sun, Moon, and Talia, which features children being cooked and eaten, people being burnt alive, some bad language, and some inappropriate references to sexual nature. If this would let me scroll down. In the Italian version, the girl is named Talia, not Briar Rose or Briar Beauty. It's Briar Beauty, right? When she was young, a fortune teller predicts her future and warns that Talia will be in grave danger from a splinter of flax. Talia grows into a beautiful woman, but one day she pricks her finger on a splinter of flax and falls down dead. Her father, being devastated, can't bring himself to bury her, lays her body in the finest clothes and abandons her in the house forever. Sometime later, a king is walking by in the forest, stumbles upon Talia's body, and she looks like she's sleeping. The king thinks she's beautiful, tries to wake her up. When she doesn't wake up, the king gets creepy and decides to take advantage of the sleeping girl, hence the referencing to sexual nature. Afterwards, the king goes home, doesn't think any more of it, or about Talia and what he's done. However, 9 months later, the unconscious Talia gives birth to twins, a boy and a girl. So the babies try breastfeeding themselves, which, okay, so apparently that happens. But one of them sucks on her finger and ends up sucking out the splinter. Talia wakes up in shock to discover she's now a mother of two. She has no idea where the babies come from, but she names them Sun and Moon, hence Sun, Moon, and Talia. One day, the king starts thinking about Talia and decides to go back and see her. Arriving at the palace, he finds her awake and taking care of children. Putting two and two together, he realizes that the children are his, but promises Talia that he will come back and take her to his kingdom. He goes back home, but his wife hears about him taking in this, and hears him talking in his sleep. It says taking, but it's talking in his sleep, and learns he's been cheating on her. She writes a letter to Talia pretending to be the king and asks her to send the twins to the kingdom because he wants to see them. When the queen gets her hands on the twins, she plans to have them killed, cooked, and fed to her husband. The horrified cook brings the twins to his wife, and hides them. Instead, he kills and cooks 2 lambs and serves them for dinner. The king eats and remarks on how tasty it is. The wife eagerly watches him while he keeps saying, you are eating what is your own. King not paying attention to this, apparently. The queen writes another letter to Talia pretending to be the king and invites her to the kingdom. The queen secretly is planning to burn her alive in the palace courtyard. When Talia arrives, the queen says, "Ooh, wow, that's really mean." I'm going to rephrase it and ask if she was the one who had been enjoying her husband. Oh my gosh. Why don't you confront him? Would have that been too hard? Okay. The queen forces Talia to become nude. That's how we'll say it. And Talia begins screaming and crying, and the king finds out what's going on, and he then has his wife thrown into the fire, burnt alive, along with the servants who helped her. However, when he finds out that the children are still alive, he spares the cook's life, and the story ends up the king marries Talia, living happily ever after. That king is a pervert. That's not okay. No. That story's not okay. One, yeah, it's super dark. What year does that story take place? Oh, it doesn't say. Yeah, I saw the bad language. I'm actually going to have to look up when Sleeping Beauty came out. I had to look. Because I almost forgot the name. Well, I found when the Disney movie was released, but I don't want that. 1959 for anyone who's wondering. Oh, so I'm going to guess it's 18 something. That one says in France in 1528. This one says Italian though. I wonder if I look up Italian Sleeping Beauty. I don't know. 1634. What? No way. Yes. Okay. I had 3 different dates. It is 1634. They had 19 something, which is what I said no way about because Sleeping Beauty's Disney story came out in 1959. Is that what I said? I can't remember. Still, 1634. This Italian story. Yeah. I wonder if I actually look up the name I have here. Maybe, that would have been smart. So, Bestel's work was 1634. Charles Perrault did his rendition of the tale in 1698. And The Sleeping Beauty, as the Brothers Grimm did it, was in 1812 as Little Briar Rose, which is where I got Briar Rose. Okay, so there are many renditions. That one's just the darkest out of all of them. All of them basically have the same premise. The king takes advantage of a girl who is sleeping. And he has twins with her. I'm 100% sure then it was very illegal to cheat on your spouses. Yeah. Rapunzel. I think this one's German origin. Yes, Kansas read this one. We have our neighbors, and our neighbor was teaching Kansas how to speak German. She wanted to speak German before she decided altogether Spanish is the way to go. She had to translate this story, which he had printed out completely in German because the Brothers Grimm. And she read it to me in English, obviously. I don't understand German. But yeah, this one is based off the Brothers Grimm version of the 1957 version, featured a horrific part where a man's eyes are poked out by thorns. So if you hear them in the back, they're still talking about canned lyric pranking. Okay. So Rapunzel is a 12-year-old girl who has been kidnapped. I think I went down too far. It's in 1857. Yeah. So 1857, German folklore, not folklore, as I was trying to previously pronounce. Rapunzel is a 12-year-old girl who has been kept locked up in a tower for most of her life by an evil old witch. She spends her time sitting in the tower. Okay, so the beginning of a story I know, and it's the one Ken read to me that was in German. This wife is pregnant and she wants these the things, which is where they got the name Rapunzel. I don't know what they are, but they're like a vegetable or a green, and the wife wants them, and they're in the witch's garden. And the husband goes out over the witch's place a few times and gets them for her one day. The witch catches him and is all like, hey, yo, give me your child and I'll forget about this. Or I could kill you. Basically, it's the alternative she gave him. And he's all like, whatever. So when the baby's born, she takes her. Hence locking her in the tower. One day a prince hears her singing and comes to visit her. Why do we get to know the Rapunzel's name, but age, but not his? Fine. Comes over to visit her. She lets down her hair. He climbs up. He visits her again and again. Before long, they fall in love and begin plotting a way to escape. However, the witch finds out the prince is visiting Rapunzel. She's hiding in a bush. She flies into a rage, cuts off Rapunzel's hair, and unlike in the Disney version, her hair doesn't glow when she sings. It's just really long. And she cuts it, uses it as her own, like makes it a wig, basically, to lure the prince so he doesn't suspect anything. And he's all like, Rapunzel, let down your hair. Yeah. So when the prince starts climbing up the hair after this, also the witch cast Rapunzel out into the wilderness to fend for herself. Now we get that out of the way. So Rapunzel is not in this tower. It is the witch with the hair. And he goes, Rapunzel, let down your hair. The witch lets it down. But as he gets to the top, he sees that, oh, what the hell? You're not Rapunzel. She pushes him. He falls into the bushes. And his eyes are poked. And he's blind. Blind as hell. And he stumbles around. That night, when the prince comes to visit, he climbs up. Yeah. Patch of thorns poke his eyeballs out and blind him. The prince wanders the forest for a long time, but when he runs into Rapunzel, she somehow manages to cure his blindness with her tears. Then they have kids. They live happily ever after. The version of the story Can told me she already had 2 kids that they were running around, and that's why he went towards her. He went towards the sound of the children. And yeah, they had a family. They live happily ever after. So the tears are the only form of magic that were in the story. So there was no glowing hair, just her tears. Which, in the end of Tangled, spoiler for anyone who doesn't know, she cries on Flynn, which is his name in Tangled, and heals his wound from Mother Gothel, the old witch, stabbing him. So yeah, now we got Princess and the Frog. So some of you might know Princess and the Frog, the Disney version, as I've said at the beginning of all of these. But no one really knows it's originally based on a German fairy tale. Yes, let's go with another German fairy tale. The German are very gruesome. I'm realizing this right now. This is from 1812 by the Brothers Grimm called The Frog King. I can't pronounce it in German. I'm sorry, but in popular versions of this tale, there's a princess. A princess is playing with a golden ball. When she accidentally drops it down a well, a frog pops up and volunteers to get it back to her, but only if she will be his girlfriend. The princess agrees, but as soon as she gets the ball, she forgets all about the frog and goes home. The next day, the frog turns up at her doorstep demanding to be let in. Eventually, she lets him sleep in her bed, and when she wakes up in the morning, he's transformed into a handsome prince. He's a frog when he gets in that bed. In the original version, the princess gets so fed up with the frog, she picks him up and hurls him against a wall. In the Scottish version, called The Queen Who Sought a Drink from a Certain Well, the girl chops off the frog's head with a sword, and this transforms him into a handsome prince. In the version of the story I know, the way it ends, what is it? The frog asks to be let in, that from there on, and the father, the king, comes to the door and is all like, hello, frog. And the frog's all like, your daughter made a promise to me. And the father's all like, we're royalty, we don't break promises. And the girl's all like, I really just don't want to marry a frog. And the dad's all like, you made a promise to him, you have to date him. And yeah. So she kisses him, he turns into a prince, and then she wants him. Either way, he turns into a prince. Even though in these ones, he's dead. Which I think is the darkest part about it. Not the fact she is so rude. didn't want to be his girlfriend. Just be like, I don't want to be your girlfriend. And leave him. Okay, now we have Alice in Wonderland. I've read this one. Alice in Wonderland is a well-known children's book by Lewis Carroll, but this is a much better version. It's a lot shorter, more realistic, and comes with a surprise ending. Alice was beginning to get tired of sitting with her sister after having nothing to do. She was bored. Once or twice she peeped into a book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures in it. What is a book without pictures in it, she thought. And suddenly a white rabbit runs by. There's nothing so remarkable in that. But it's the fact he's wearing a waistcoat. And a watch. And looks at it. The rabbit in the book also goes, I'm late. So not the fact that the rabbit's talking. That doesn't bother her. That's okay. That's normal. But he has a waistcoat. Oh, how dare he have a waistcoat? How dare he might be someone's pet? No, rabbits still don't wear waistcoats. But even in the movie, I never understood why it was the waistcoat that upset her so. Like, of anything that could have upset her, the talking, it's the fact he has a waistcoat. And was carrying a cane. When the rabbit took out his watch out of his pocket, Alice jumped to her feet. She had never seen a rabbit with a waistcoat or a pocket or a watch to take out of it. Burning with curiosity, she runs after him across the fields, and just in time to pop down a large rabbit hole. Alice goes down after him, never stopping to consider how in the world she'd get out again. The rabbit hole went straight on like a tunnel and then dipped suddenly down. So suddenly that Alice didn't get a chance to stop herself before she fell down. The hole was very, very deep. She kept falling and she tried to look down, but it was too dark to see anything. Then there was only sides of the hole, and noticed they were filled with cupboards and bookshelves here and there, and she saw maps that hung up upon pegs. Apparently this book gives me the sneezes. I wonder how many miles I fell down, she asked. Which is whatever. And suddenly the fall stops. Oh my gosh, Nicholas, what a mess. That's the original dark ending, apparently. That's great. In the actual book, she goes down and then she meets a duchess and a baby that turned into a pig. And she goes to a wild adventure. That's just a dark story. That I don't know if someone made that ending up or if that came from something or someone just, I think someone made it up and based it on how it happens in the book and is all like, oh, what if Alice fell down and then she died? Because yeah, that's what we do. This one's called The Goose Girl. This is, I think, one of the out of the many, I don't know. The Goose Girl is a scary fairy tale about a maid who switches places with a princess. So kind of like the Swan Princess. Have any of you seen Barbie the Swan Princess? She's a, I think it's a swan by day and a princess by night, or a princess by day and a swan by night. It's one of those ways. She turns into a princess at one time and then turns into a swan. Almost said a goose. That's wrong. Anyway, it's based on an old German folk tale. And the original version features a horse severed head and a grisly punishment by torture. Yay. The Goose Girl is about a beautiful girl who's supposed to be married to a prince who lives in a faraway palace. When she's leaving, her mother gives her a maid and a talking horse named Falada. For some reason, The mother cuts her fingers, squeezes the blood onto a rag, and gives it to her daughter as a good luck charm. Oh! I hate blood. I hate blood.
Are you on live stream?
Yes, I hate blood.
I have one here. The rest of and the last of my lyric pranks one.
Did you get tired of it? Can I finish the story about the goose girl?
No. Yes.
Okay, I just got done with the part the mother cuts her fingers.
Ah,
and squeezes it onto a rag. And gives it to my daughter. I know. Sorry if that got really loud. But
It's
on
not
the way
sorry.
to the palace, the maid.
It is so bright in here. Killing my eyeballs.
Look at the camera. Look, it's not even that bad.
Guys, it's burning eyeball
It's
bad
seriously
in here.
bright in here, so the lighting looks good. Anyway, on her way to the palace, the maid tricks the girl, stealing her clothes and her horse, switches places with her. She threatens to kill the girl unless she swears she will never breathe a word about what happened. When they reach the palace, the maid introduces herself as the bride, and the prince is ready to marry her. The girl keeps her mouth shut and is sent to herd the geese. However, the maid is still worried the talking horse will give her secret away, so she orders it to be killed. When the maid's getting ready for the wedding, the girl's still out herding geese. Every day she passes by the severed head of the horse and talks to it. I can't stand the fact that I just imagined that.
I didn't imagine because I wasn't listening.
Good. One day the king overhears her talking to the horse and eventually figures out that the real bride is the maid and the maid is the false bride. He finds
It's
the
like
maid.
Ariel. The sea witch pretends to be Ariel.
Yeah. I think I'm more of like the Swan Princess. Do you remember that one? Minus it's not a swan, she's a goose. Girl. Maybe.
No.
Well, whatever. He finds the maid and asks her what should happen to a person who switches with the princess. The maid comes up with a horrible punishment she can think of. The king pulls the old switcheroo on the maid. The maid suffers a horrendous punishment. She's tossed into a barrel lined with nails and dragged until she's dead. Oh my gosh. And while this is happening, the girl marries the prince and they live happily ever after. So this is just happening in the background and everyone's okay with it? A woman is being tortured and her screams and you're having a wedding. That's the end of the story.
That's gruesome.
Yeah.
So you want to hear my lyric pranking one?
Yeah, you finish that story while I get this story.
Okay, so the second guy I lyric pranked, I only ended up lyric pranking 3 people.
Wonderful.
The second, okay, so I had Lillian pick the song.
What was it?
Say no to this.
Oh, Hamilton!
I skipped a lot.
The song's very inappropriate for anyone who doesn't know.
Okay, so we're just gonna. In the end, he begged me to stop talking to him.
Was he like, please stop talking to me? I hate
No,
Hamilton.
he just says, please stop talking to me. And I was like, I agreed with him, and I just left. I didn't say I agreed with him, but I agreed with him. It was a cringy song. It was bad, so I just left. I'm not gonna talk about that one. So then the last one I did was with this girl. I wanted to be a girl, and then I talked to this girl, and she wouldn't talk to me. So then I talked to this dude, he wouldn't talk to me. So then this girl talked to me, like she texted me. And I was like, oh, cool, then let's do it on you instead. And so I did Before You Go. Didn't get very far.
Louis Capaldi.
Yeah.
What did she say?
So I fell by the wayside like everyone else. She's like, oh. I was like, I hate you, but I was just kidding myself. And she's all like, okay. And so I was all like, for every moment I was starting to play, she's like, okay, you're getting blocked, and that was the end of that.
You're getting blocked. I love it.
You do what Charles does, but on Acting Light.
Charles.
Carl Bradbury. I am no longer ever lyric printing ever again.
I want to. It's fun.
And you do you, boo boo.
Yeah, you do you, boo. Okay. This one's called Faux Holly, or Mother Holly, is an obscure fairy tale recorded by the Brothers Grimm in their Household Tales. It's based on an old German folk tale. Faux Holly, or Mother Holly, is about a woman who has 2 daughters. One is beautiful and kind, the other is ugly and lazy. For some reason, the mother prefers the ugly and lazy girl and forces the beautiful one to do all the work around the house. Kind of sounds like Cinderella. One day, the beautiful girl is fetching water from a well when she accidentally leans too far and falls in. She's knocked unconscious, but when she wakes up, she finds herself in a beautiful meadow full of sunshine. Is she dead? Okay. She finds herself in a beautiful meadow. She meets an old woman named Frau Holly, Mother Holly, and who asks her to clean her cottage. The girl does so, and she does everything the woman asked and is rewarded by being sent home covered from head to toe in gold. The mother decides to send the ugly daughter down the well. However, she meets Mother Holly. The lazy girl refuses to do any work. She's sent home coated head to toe in burning pitch, which sticks to her for the rest of her life. Wow. Wow. I don't know what else to say to that, but that is a terrible mother. One, you should love your children equally. Two, don't throw them down a well. I mean, just don't. Even if that caused your other child to be covered in gold, don't do it for the other one. It doesn't even make sense. That doesn't make sense. Okay, so Goldilocks. This is the last one. Goldilocks and the Three Bears is a scary fairy tale story, and it's based on an old story recorded by British poet Robert Southey in 1837 called The Story of the Three Bears. Instead of a cute young girl with blonde hair, it's featured an ugly, dirty old woman with silver hair who curses and swears. Do most of these stories just have bad language in them? That's my question. Okay, so in Robert's 1833 adaptation of this folklore, features three bears who live in a house, eating porridge, sitting on chairs, sleeping in beds just like humans. But one day, while the bears are out on their walk, a woman breaks into their house. The old woman eats their porridge and swears at the pot. And she says bad words because it's hot. Then she sits on the chairs, and when it breaks underneath her, she curses that too. When the bears return, they find their house in ruins and the ugly woman sleeping in one of their beds. The old woman wakes up. She sees the bears standing there and jumps out the window. And this part, which they took from the book, I guess, it says, out the little woman jumped. Whether she broke her neck in the fall or ran into the woods, was lost there, or found a way out of the woods, was taken out by the stable, was sent to the House of Corrections as she was, as they could not tell. But the three bears never saw anything of her. Wow. They did get pretty dark, but I mean, that's what they said they were. Each one of them said they were going to be dark. These are called scary tales. I don't find them scary. I just find them very dark. So I've read another section. Should we just go through these section at a time for videos? That'd be fun. But I'll see you guys in the next video.